Everybody, I'm delighted to introduce you today to this presentation about the third edition of GemGenève. I'm delighted to be accompanied by the co-founder, Ronny Totah. Hello, Ronny. And the director, Mathieu de Cuquelaire.
Hello, good afternoon.
By Ida Faerber, daughter of co-founder Thomas Faerber and a collaborator on the Designer Vivarium.
Good afternoon.
And last but not least, Vivienne Becker, esteemed jewellery historian and the power behind the Designer Vivarium, which we will discuss as part of our presentation today. The GemGenève show will take place at the Palexpo, very near to Geneva Airport, between the 4th and the 7th of November next week. It's a wonderful show with many, many features. But first off, if I may ask Ronny, why is GemGenève a must-attend show?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Why is it a must-attend show? It's especially this year because it's one of the only one of the year, one of the first ones in the year. There has been Vincenza Oro, there has been David, as you said, you mentioned once that you were at Istanbul also, and there was an Las Vegas show and a New York show. But here in Europe is going to be the second after the Vicenza, and everybody can't wait to be in this show. This is what I would say for this edition, but I guess that a little bit later people will understand why GemGenève is a special show and that people should, if they can travel, should come and visit this show.
Very good. So Mathieu, if I may ask you, what type of professionals and buyers should be looking to visit the show next week?
We already know that all the buyers of the house of the big brands will be there. After it's right that it's quite difficult to predict who will come, who will be able to really come to the show because of all the COVID situation and all the restriction on the travels internationally. But we already know that we will have good buyers and good visitors for this edition, for this challenging edition.
Yeah. And Ronny, can you tell us, broadly speaking, what is the offering at the show? What kind of goods will there be?
Well, there would be, of course, things to buy that is in stones, precious stones, in antique jewelry, and in new jewelry, contemporary ones, and the Vivarium, of course. And more than this, there would be also the talks that are going to be there. And this year, we also put a stress on schools. You would have 6 different schools that can teach people to do different or various métiers, various
professions
that goes around our different sectors of the trade.
Yeah, and the labs will be present too, won't they? The gemstone testing labs, they'll be exhibiting at the show as well.
Yes, this year we will have 3 of the labs that are going to be there. Yeah.
Okay. So if I may direct the next question to both Ronny and Ida, what distinguishes GemGenève from other shows? What makes GemGenève distinct and special? Ida first.
I think what makes it different is the ambiance that is quite different from other shows because it's a mixture of, it's a combination of trade shows and more exclusive shows, both linked together. When we created it, we really tried to offer a new space for the exhibitors, but also for the visitors. sometimes as a visitors, we felt a bit frustrated to only have the choice to visit that kind of show, very high end, or another type of show, and same as exhibitors. So we have tried to combine, to create a new style of show where wholesalers, dealers, privates, students, where everybody could find something to please. We have incredible schools, we have incredible talks. So, and all this is happening in a very familial atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, when you come to the show, it feels cozy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very welcoming. It's very welcoming.
Welcoming, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Ronny, that is one of the key factors, that this is a show essentially organized not by professional event managers, but by exhibitors themselves. I mean, could you talk a little bit about that side of GemGenève that does make it unique, a little bit about the history and story of the show and how it came to be?
Yes, I think that this edition is really, it represents what we are. Why? Because end of August, we did a meeting with 80 potential exhibitors, and really the whole organizers thought that we would not do it. So we already talked to Palexpo and we said, we are probably not going to do it. And when we did the meeting, we were ready to talk about 2022. So we said for 5 minutes, we are going to talk about 2021, because we are sure that as there were a lot of problems from the US to come in and also from the Far East. So we thought that we would be just European who would come. And we did a poll just in the beginning of the meeting, and surprisingly enough, 71.2%, I think, of the auditors were in favor of doing it, thinking that, yes, we could do it in a successful way. It was not just we can travel, is that we think that if we do it in November, it would be a successful one. So if you were in the Zoom, you could feel that suddenly we were a little bit shaking for 30 seconds, you know, to say, okay, now we have to change completely the way we're going to conduct this, this meeting, and we have to talk about November. And this is why suddenly we had to dive into doing this show within 6 weeks.
Yep.
So, in fact, we always said, I think, since the beginning, and Thomas was the first one to say, yes, it's exhibitor, it's done by exhibitors for the exhibitors. You know, sometimes it could just be a sentence, you know, that you just say like this, repeat. But here, I think it's a proof. So there is, nobody could say the reverse, saying, oh yeah, I was talking like this, it's very nice, it's a very nice sentence. No, it's reality, and it has been like this since the beginning. So it's easy, in fact, to do a show like this, because we just look at the interest of the exhibitors and the visitors. So
and there is this sort of familial atmosphere, as Ida said earlier, as well at the show. So Mathieu, may I ask you, what are the special features of this upcoming edition compared to previous editions? Just if you'd outline to us some of the special aspects of the coming edition of GemGenève.
Yes, for this special edition, so we are still building like our talks program. So we'll still have like some great jewelry historian, such as Vivienne, such as Amanda Triosi, such as Vanessa Cron. We have developed like some projects with the schools. This is what Ida told just a few minutes ago, but we have developed some projects with them, and with one of our exhibitors sponsoring these projects. So the creations of the students will be could be discovered at the show. We have developed as well like some meet the author of sessions to meet some authors of on jewelry books, and this could be discovered like on the booths of Librairie Bernard Letu of one of our exhibitors. Yes, and we have such new things as well about the digital. So we are trying to develop some digital partnerships with some influencers, with jewelry historians too. And yeah, there are some.
And the Flair. You have the Flair project. And
yes, exactly. The Flair project developed with Caterina Perez, which is like a mix between the art world and the jewelry world. So yeah, there are lots of new things for the 6 weeks we had to organize the show.
Okay, excellent. So the mood, Ronny and Ida, what is your sense about the mood of those who are exhibiting and also those who will come to buy? I mean, for me personally, having recently been at the Vicenza Fair and Istanbul Jewellery Show, I have to say that people were delighted to reconnect and gather again. Are you sensing in your conversations with exhibitors who are coming to GemGenève and with the buyers who will visit that they are delighted to be able to gather again in person? Ronny.
Sorry. Yes, this is absolutely, I think in 10 years' time, if we are, okay, so in 10 years' time, if we have to think about the challenging edition, I don't think we are going to think about business that we did or not did or haven't done, but much more about the first time that we are going to meet each other, and this we can feel it through phones, messages, emails. It means everybody is happy to come. It's not because it's GemGenève. It could have been any other fair. Everybody is so happy. It means it's unbelievable. It means for me, being French, is like when we won the first time the World Championship in *98, and so it's everybody's there. Everybody loves the other ones. You know, everything is great for a little while, and but it's this. Everybody looks so happy. So I think for this, we know already there's going to be a success because of this. Because to meet again, to talk, and it would allow us also to feel what is going on everywhere else than just here.
Yeah, I think it's really the motus of our show, you know, touch and feel. And people have missed to touch and feel the jewelry and the people.
Yeah, and also, I mean, order flow was very good, both at Vicenza and Istanbul, which augurs very well for GemGenève. And people, I mean, there is pent-up demand out there, isn't there, to restock by high-end retailers after this period. And demand has been pretty buoyant at the high end of the colored gemstone, high jewelry and diamond market. Ronny, how do you see the market in this period for upscale colored gemstones, diamonds, and high jewelry? Is it a strong market? The auctions seem to have done pretty well in this period.
Well, I think it's going to be a very good market. I think not only for the high end, but I think for all the segments of our trade, because of 2 years of nothing. It means nothing happened. Nobody was able even maybe to rebuild their stock. Still few sales has been done. We have people, they told us we cannot come to GemGenève because we have nothing to show. So they would come to buy. So it's going to be good. For how long, we don't know. But, you know, in our business, it's also, it's a mental thing that if one show goes well, so everybody goes back, you know, with a lot of optimism, and then it could be enough to boost the sales.
I mean, the event is taking place a few weeks before Christmas or the festive season. Ronny, are you optimistic that, say, if you like, the Bond Street level retailers, companies such as Boodles, for example, that type of a company will be looking to restock significantly high-end goods at GemGenève, and that the timing of the show is very fortuitous, very well-timed for buying stock before the festive season?
Well, we wish, of course, we hope that they did sales since the last 4 or 5 months. And then now we hope, all of us, that they are hungry for new goods, and we are just waiting for all those, not only Bond Street, but everywhere also. So we think it's going to be a good one. In fact, we are confident that it's going to be a good show.
So if I could ask Ida and Mathieu a little bit about the interesting timing of GemGenève historically, and including this edition relative to the high-value jewellery auctions. GemGenève will take place between the 4th and 7th of November, and just a few days later, you've got the Sotheby's Magnificent Jewel Sale in Geneva on the 9th, and the Christie Sale on the 10th. Ida, what's the thinking behind this? Is the idea that all the buyers and collectors are in one place at one time?
Yeah, we hope so. And that was always the main idea, to have the fair in Geneva at the same time as the auctions, to combine, you know, all the visitors in one place, so they can attend and the auctions and the show, and that the two crowds would then mix, you know, that the visitor from GemGenève eventually would go to visit Christie's and Sotheby's, and that the people from Christie's and Sotheby's will come up to GemGenève and visit us. So that has always been the idea behind the dates, to stay linked to the auction houses, so we can combine strengths and energy.
And Mathieu, what are your thoughts on, if you like, the synergies or the timing synergies between GemGenève and the auctions?
I think it's, yes, totally relevant to have like this jewelry week during in Geneva during November or in May, because like when we started in GemGenève, like in 2018 and 19, we were in May, but within the same concept, that means the same timing, that means just before the auctions. Yes, and I think yes, there are some synergies, but we are all, yes, trying to keep our independence as well. So we don't work on strong partnerships with the auction houses, but in an informal way, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the dates don't strictly coincide, they are separate, but it's within a same period when everybody can be in one place. I'd just like to encourage viewers to submit questions on the Q&A button. Please do not use the chat button, do use the Q&A button so I can keep track of questions on all matters relating to the show, layout of the show, plans for this event, the edition, the market, if you like, and so on. Ronny, if I could ask you a little bit about the outlook for the market for colored gemstones, high diamonds and high jewellery going forward, particularly taking into consideration what has happened during the lockdown period. The auctions saw very strong demand, particularly in terms of online buying of high jewellery in this period. Some world records in online sales occurred over the last almost 2 years. The market has been strong overall. Why is that? I mean, why is there confidence in buying high value jewellery in this period?
Well, it's very tough to know the reasons. It was very, very high already before this, because everything which is rare, it means normally keeps or retain a certain part of its value, could even increase, but normally it keeps a certain part. And I think that it's just you know, like after a war, you know, everybody wants, again, it's finished. It means like if it's a renaissance, you know, everybody, it's reviving, and it's, and then maybe you could make some buys in an impulsive way, which I don't think in the high-end jewelry and stone, they would still think about it. I think a lot of people want to own something very rare. And so this is why we are confident that the market, you know, the market could go down, but it would go up afterwards. It's going, in any case, something rare remains rare, you know, and especially the signed pieces, the jewelry, which are very well made, you know, it's, so we are confident that the price is going to be good. For how long this, we don't know. If it's going to happen, you know, another wave, let's not talk about bad things, but let's say in a medium perspective, we are confident about the good health of the market.
Yeah. So if you were to get your crystal ball out and try to single out certain types of jewellery or gemstones that will see particularly strong demand at GemGenève and looking forward into the auctions and beyond, what may they be? I mean, for example, colored diamonds. Do you sense that there is particular interest in certain types of color, or among sapphires? Do you sense that there's a very strong market for cashmere sapphires? Signed pieces, what type of signed pieces are particularly sought after in this period? What can you say? Can you break it down a little bit into a little bit more detail? I think your sound is off.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sorry. No, you wanted me. Maybe Ida could give a better overview, because also with they are well connected also in the States, so maybe she would have a better overview, yeah. And especially with the New York show, maybe she would get more fresh informations.
Sure. So Ida, could you break it down, looking at, say, antique jewellery, demand for antique jewellery? What do you see as particularly hot in this period now? What types of goods are going really well?
Actually, anything that is very beautiful, signed or even not signed, is very, very hard to buy. You know, anything special, anything where you can feel there is a sense of craftsmanship and the sense of strong design in the object, signed or not signed, is very, very hard to get. We have a very, very strong demand for Bulgari from the vintage from the 70s and 80s. That is like really like crazy. Prices are very strong. And that is really like you buy and you sell, you buy and sell. It's quite astonishing.
What do you think is driving Bulgari? Why do you think Bulgari is so sought after? I've also seen this at some of the high value.
I think they have done some events or some opening in China, and they have had some huge press down there, marketing and strong communication, from what I understood. So I think maybe that helped to keep it very dynamic. But that's also a trend that you can see in Europe and in America, because I also think it suits to the way we're dressed. You know, it's a little bit we are dressed in a more sporty way. Mm-hmm. Clothes are a bit heavier, and so all these big chains, the big medals, the heavy gold. It's like this 80s look is very much back. So that's a very, very strong period in demand. And it's quite interesting also to see like that a name, for example, like Kuczynski. I mean, 10 years ago, I'd never had the demand for Kuczynski. And like, even we have been buying several pieces from him and selling them straight after. So it's really interesting to see that the strong 70s style is still very much in demand. And then, of course, all the signed pieces. Everything, you know, Van Cleef or Cartier that is easy to recognize, also fetches still very high prices. And in stones, it's the same. If you have something very particular, very fine, that is hard to criticize, you'll find the buyer for it.
Can you identify, maybe it's premature to ask this question, any highlighted pieces that will be on show at GemGenève next week? Any highlighted diamonds or colored gemstones, for example, or just in general terms, Ida, tell us about what you expect to see at the show next week. Are we going to see some large unheated Mogok pigeon blood rubies, for example?
I wish. I wish.
They're very rare now. Well, what can you tell us in general terms about what we may see at GemGenève next week among the exhibitors?
I think that's a very interesting question, because that's also the question I'm asking myself since 2 years. I want to see what's in the window of my competitors, because that is what is basically when we used to do all these fairs, we used to get an idea of the market, and, you know, this one is having an emerald, he's asking so much, this one is asking so much. And then at the end of the show, you had an idea of what was happening. And this I felt was very much missing in the past 2 years. So I know we have amazing exhibitors. The list of, I think the level is very, very high of exhibitors. Yeah. Usually these exhibitors have very well curated stocks, and I'm sure they will have beautiful vitrines at GemGenève. I'm not sure about any highlights, because I haven't seen, I think people, I've talked to a few people and they all told me, you know, I really would like to keep it and not show it now. I want to keep it for my GemGenève vitrine to make the visitor happy. So I think that's very nice.
And can you just very quickly, before we go on to talk about the Designer Vivarium, could you, Ida, could you tell me a little bit about why you feel pieces by Cartier and Van Cleef and Arpels particularly consistently do well at this level? I mean, those two Parisian jewelers always seem to outperform in the high-value jewelry market. Why is that?
I think they're having a very, very strong communication. Is it digital or you know, paper print, or, you know, event-wise, they bring out.
But also the antique pieces do very well, don't they? In the secondary market, the much older Cartier and Van Cleef pieces, they continue to do well in say the auctions market, for example. So why is that? Are they just extremely well made?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like in fashion, you know, when you have an haute couture house, you need to have the prêt-à-porter de luxe to push the haute couture, and the haute couture, you know, is the soul and will push the prêt-à-porter. It's two things that are a bit linked, and I feel it's a bit the same. It's a bit the same here. You know, Van Cleef, they have their Alhambra collection. They bring out more maybe accessible and fun collections, but they are driven by the high jewelry collection, and all this is being pushed by the legacy of the houses. They have a history, and Eric Nussbaum from Cartier was the first genius who understood this, you know, the patrimoine of a house.
Ida, do you anticipate, you said you couldn't specify individual highlighted pieces that would be exhibited next week at GemGenève, but would you anticipate that there will be some contemporary living designers of high jewellery? This is apart from the Designer Vivarium, whose pieces will be available on offer at GemGenève, and people like Jarre pieces, for example, Wallace Chan, others. So are you hearing anything? What can you tell us?
I hope we will. I hope we will see some.
And which contemporary designers are hottest at the high end right now? Living designers.
I think Jarre is still, I mean, on top of the list. I think Hemele is very strong. They're doing an amazing also marketing, and they have a beautiful branding, a very clean image, and beautiful craftsmanship also. I think, you know, there's designers like Saba, but I haven't seen anything from him on the market. He's very young still. There is Taffin, but still also there is not much secondhand Taffin pieces on the market. Yeah, I think, you know, from the living one, I think Jar is still in auction, the most sought after, followed by
and maybe Jar will be moving around Geneva next week, because I know he pops up at the auctions from time to time. Very good. Well, we've got a couple of questions before we move on to the Designer Vivarium presentation from Nivia Zakir. Let me direct this one to Ronny. Will there be a GemGenève in May 2022?
Well, we booked the dates in May, it's true, for 22, 23, and 24. Yes, we want to do it at this moment in May. So we think that it's a good timing. The weather is much nicer. And maybe let's go in the forest in November to try to find some sunshine somewhere. And yes, so we would do it in May. In 2020.
And again, it would coincide with the Magnificent Jewels auctions.
Yes, exactly. Yes, as Mathieu said, we tried to be connected with.
Yeah, very good. And the other question before we move on, from I believe it's a Jean Joureddini, Beirut-based color gemstone dealer, who asks, do you think there will be an in-fashion color trend for colored gemstones during GemGenève next week? So people have been talking, all the trend forecasters, I think I'll direct this one to Ida, all the trend forecasters have been talking about a growing appetite for a blaze of color, particularly very bright neon colors, if you like, in high jewelry design in this period, as people want to lift their spirits during the pandemic. What's your sense? Are we going to see sort of a color trend or sort of a color tone, certain colors that will be more popular than others through the buying of high gemstone set jewelry next week? Ida, what are your thoughts? Get your crystal ball out.
I don't know, but I think it's true that like pop colors are quite in, like strong, you know, a strong pop aquamarine or like pink, orange, very, very pop colors. Because there's also some new, you know, techniques of enameling and of creating color in jewelry that allows new color association that are a little bit more fun maybe than before. But then I still think, you know, that there is a big demand for beautiful emeralds, and I think the emeralds, ruby, and sapphire, if you have exceptional stones or anything particular, will remain strong. But it's true that for fashion, I think it's a bit the color of the 70s, you know, like amethyst, topaz, pop colors.
Yeah, and if I may ask you the same question, Vivienne, before we embark upon your presentation, because I know you also do some trend forecasting. I mean, what are your thoughts on, if you like, the likely colors that would be most sought after next week at GemGenève? Any broad ideas on that?
Yeah, well, I think that there's an interest in the less usual, really unusual stones as well. And as Ida said, there's a strong trend towards enamel, and also all the new techniques like coloring titanium. And I think it's a question of mixing those techniques with unusual gemstones. So yes, I think as well as the conventional, the big three, I think people will be looking for something really intriguing There's also a continuing and evolving, escalating trend towards agates and minerals, and also really esoteric stones. I mean, the stones that look like modern art, that look like paintings. So I think that's quite important as well. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, very good. Thanks for that. So next, we're going to move on to a presentation by Vivienne about the Designer Vivarium, which is one of the features of GemGenève and has been since the very beginning. It's a showcase in the coming edition for, I understand, 8 contemporary designers who will be present. So Vivienne, please let's tell us about the Vivarium this year.
Well, just a little bit of background. Ronny and Thomas invited me in the first show to showcase contemporary jewellery. And I thought it was, first of all, it chimed with my Vivarium project that I was just getting off the ground at the time, through which I want to provide the right environment for the really individual, independent, but high jewellery designers. The designers are a little bit under the radar. So it was a great opportunity. And I'd just like to add something about the atmosphere, about what makes GemGenève so different, and hopefully the Designer Vivarium is part of that. But I think it's also the mix of business, the mix of commerce, of course, but with a sense of community and this very important exchange of information. People come there to, as a hub for the exchange of knowledge, information, to meet each other. And I think it makes the show really, really special. And also it's the mix, it's the high level, the quality of exhibitors, which I think is exceptional. And I always say, reminds me of when I very first started working in the antique jewelry business. It's like the inner sanctum of the experts. And then it's the mix of the old and the new, the mix of the gemstones and antique jewelry. And I do think that this challenging edition is going to be, as Ronny says, even more, I guess, intimate. Everyone is going to be so happy to see each other, as Ida said, to see what all the other exhibitors have got and to exchange information. So yeah, and I'm hoping as well that from my point of view, that first of all, the show, as you say, is just before the holiday season, that people are going to be coming to look for gifts. Certainly, I hope that's what they'll be looking for at the Designer Vivarium, and that there's a huge appetite for seeing and handling, touching new things to see what the new designers are doing. So yeah, this is an image from last year's Designer Vivarium, in which I showcase the work of these individual designer jewelers. I choose them and curate them along with Ida, who helps me. As I say, she's my touchstone. She's got exquisite taste and unbelievable knowledge. So yeah, we discuss the designers together. And what I'm looking for is always a designer with a strong point of view, a well-defined point of view. There's really something to say through their jewelry. Yeah, so we can look at we have 5 new designers. I'm absolutely delighted about that, from all over the world. It's very international this year. So the first one to look at is Studio Ren, and this is a husband and wife Mumbai-based design practice, very new. They take a very cerebral, intellectual, conceptual approach to the design, and they experiment with materials and with techniques, and yeah, their subject matter is of course very interesting. Yeah, so let's look at this, the fish skeleton ring, for instance, which is part of a study focusing on communicating very complex ideas through very simple, minimal forms. I think this is really wonderful modernist design in diamonds and rubies, and it's part of an ongoing study, and the two of them often collaborate with artists to develop these very experimental ideas and materials, as you can see here in this concrete ring called the Strangler, and I think it's very organic. It looks as if the diamonds are actually growing through the concrete, and they spent a long time finding exactly the kind of light concrete that is comfortable to wear. And I think it's yeah, a very interesting approach. And yeah, this is their study in incompleteness. You know, they love the idea of imperfections and the puffball, the voids in the earrings, as they say, create a sense that there's something missing. So it's that incompleteness. And I think they have a special technique where they've left the skin over the gold from the casting, so it's got a beautiful texture, wonderful organic flow to it. So I know we've got quite a few designers. So yes, next please. Aline de Bussigne is also very new. She's based in Basel, and as you can see there, she's formerly trained in ancient history and philology, and she's been dealing in antiquities, and she's very interested in the combination of the old and the new. So she uses old cut stones and maybe new stones, but with old cuts combined with really contemporary silhouettes and contours. And we show at the back the azure work, because through the craftsmanship, she wants to take us back to the age-old skills. Yeah, and look at the next one, which is her wonderful necklace, which says was inspired by picking a water lily, but also looking at Japanese objects. And you can see the Japanese influence there, the minimalism and the reverence for nature. And it's very interesting. She wanted the stone, the center diamond, to look as if it was pressing down onto the metal. So I think that's, you know, it's yeah, very conceptual. And there again, you can see this is set with a seashell diamond. Yeah, David, you probably know more about this, cut by Gabi Tolkowski, in a very, very streamlined, very modern shape of the ring. Let's move on to the next one, please. Oh yeah, this is a wonderful necklace, also by Aline de Bussigne, and she says she was inspired by ancient Egyptian beaded necklaces, but the whole necklace is beautifully articulated, and she wanted to give the effect of it being scattered with diamonds. And she said some people have looked at it and see stars. New this year is a young Chinese, again, a design duo, but they're based in London. He's also yeah, Jerry has been very, very experimental in his techniques. Now these earrings are actually more minimal than the style that he started off with. And again, there's a great lot of thought that goes into the subject matter and translating very, very interesting concepts into jewels. This is based on human, the Chinese character for human. Now this is the style that really grabbed everyone's attention when he first really emerged from school. Brilliant colors. He has worked with AI and virtual reality. And this is the fabric ring, and he said he just wanted to interpret the idea of haute couture. So you can see the feeling of the movement of fabric, the soft texture of silk, and really bright colors, as we were saying here, those pop colors. We can move on to the next one, a whole mixture. There we are, there's the wonderful mixture of stones and materials. He calls this the systematic sonata ring, which was inspired by the harmonic structure of a sonata. And this is, again, partially designed using artificial intelligence. The seashell earrings that Ida and I both absolutely adore. And in this, he was inspired by the Fibonacci sequence and the sacred mathematics in nature. I think they've got great movement and color. From Italy, from Puglia, actually, I was approached by this designer, and I have to say, because of COVID, I haven't actually seen and handled some of this jewelry, but we've been in constant contact. And Regina Gambatesa really takes also a very, very conceptual, very cerebral approach to the jewel as sacred body ornament. And she set up what she calls a creative laboratory for body ornaments in Puglia. These aquafuocos, that's water and fire earrings, is very much with an elemental theme. And she's very interested in the communicative power of symbols, which she's translated into jewels. I'm not sure if there's another, another jewel by Regina, the serpent, of course, the age-old amulet, and one of the most potent of all symbols that runs right through the story of jewelry, but made very modern here, I think, in gold and diamonds, and with a green, that's a greenish or pistachio-colored Tahiti pearl. And she's done several interpretations of the serpent bangle. From Vienna, we have Atelier Allure. This is Thomas Hauser, who, is really something of an alchemist in metal, but he's classically trained as a goldsmith, and he established this Atelier Allure in New York in '98, and then moving back to his native Vienna in 2005. He works in this metal called nylium, which you may all know about, and it was entirely new to me. It was very, very difficult work, so he spent a long time researching the techniques for working it. As you can see here, it's, either he carves it into those very chamfered contoured rings, or he sets them here in these massive champagne rings with black diamonds. He says it's a study in black, and I love the idea. It's about the beauty of shadows, about the different shades of black and how we perceive it. And in contrast, this is his all white scheme as well. He likes to work in absolutes. And it's a ring called le toit, so it's like the tiles of a roof. And the white gold is embedded with these baguette, or these specially calibrated baguette form diamonds. And the next one, please. Yeah, so then we have 3 returning designers. And the idea in the Designer Vivarium was always to invite the designers to come back for 3 years, if they wish to, and then at the same time to always mix in the new designers. And that's really worked very well this year. So from Russia, we have Alexander Tenzo, and there's a complete change of pace here. Tenzo is the real champion of the Russian jeweled arts. He's a gem hunter by training, so he's a wonderful stock of very interesting and intriguing gemstones. But he's also been very involved in reviving the age-old Russian skills of stone carving, engraving, particularly stone carving. I particularly love this ring, the sapphire and diamond ring with the diamonds that trail over the sapphire. And then I think you can see in the band that engraving, this kind of almost zigzag engraving, which is very much taken from the Russian jeweled arts. And the next one, please. Yeah, this is very new from Tenzo this year. Called the angel cut spinel rings. And there you see some of the ravishing stones from his collection, which I think have been set into that ring. Alexandra Jefford is a designer jeweler based in London. She was trained in fine art, focusing on illustration. So her jewels have this very graphic character, and you can always see her training and the connection to art, which is very important. Now we very lucky that she's going to be showcasing her new collection called Duality and Paradox, in which she's looking at contrasts and contradictions and the harmony of dualities in her work. And this is the meditation ring. And this shows the theme of paradox very well, I think, because she said the chain necklace is quite conventional. It's a very nice chain collar, but from it she's hung these almost spontaneous squiggles, and some of them in diamonds, some are ceramic coated pendants. So there's the duality and the paradox, which I think works in complete harmony. And the next one, please. Yeah. Alex always says that one of her enduring or recurring inspirations comes from Malevich, from his black square, which is interpreted here in black jade in a ring. You can't see, but this is really striking, stunning ring. And the black jade is inset with a diamond, and there's the duality. There's the combination. And last, but very much not least, in the Designer Vivarium, we have Cora Shibani, who is with us in the first edition of GemGenève. And again, we're very lucky that Cora is going to be showcasing her latest collection, which is called Pottering Around. And yeah, I hope all our visitors are going to be pottering around GemGenève. But this is interesting. She's a really keen gardener. She said when she was forced to limit her gardening just to pottering around in her tiny London garden, she decided to take this as the theme for her next collection, and particularly the classic flower pot, which is in fact a really pleasing, very familiar shape. And in her characteristic style, she's interpreted in different materials and colors and combinations. This is a double pot ring. And there's again, very interesting, unusual hardstone. Again, here, the snow obsidian. Again, that's where I also see the popularity of hardstones and minerals. These earrings with the pots that hang upside down, trailing flowers of green beryls. And I think the next one, which I think is, this is just to show Cora's real classic style. This is from a past collection, Color and Contradiction, and she loves to work in bright colors and interesting materials. This is dumortierite and jasper, which is a wonderful combination of blue and burnt orange. And yet all her stones are carved in Ida Oberstein. And finally, the last piece in this presentation, a more accessible, almost slightly repeatable version or a design in the Pottering Around collection. So it's a ring entirely made in titanium. That's the Italian pot. And I think she wants to fill these pots with different plants, which she interprets. And a nice touch is that she's going to call them by the name of the artisans who worked on them, different artisans, because she feels that the artisans don't get enough credit. So I think that's it's a very nice touch, and something that's really relevant to GemGenève.
Well, thank you so much, Vivienne. That was a fabulous presentation, and really these designers are very much on trend, based on the trend forecast that I have read. I mean, this fascination with naturalism, spiritualism, AI. I mean, it's a very eclectic range, encompassing all of the above. So very much a state-of-the-art curation of contemporary designers. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
I always want to have a real range of different styles, different concepts, different use of materials. I think it's really important to show the whole variety, the whole vista of creativity that we have in our industry. Yeah.
So welcome to Paola De Luca, trend forecaster, very well known, has just joined us. Yes, so the Designer Vivarium is a very convivial place to be at GemGenève. I know from my experience, having attended all of the editions of this show, you can just walk around, admire the designs, chat with the designers. It's very easy going and very pleasant, and learn as well. It's an educational experience to be there.
I think it's an opportunity, it is an opportunity for the visitors to actually meet and talk to the designers. And that's what we found, I think, isn't it, Ida, that they love to hear about the designer's personal point of view. I think that in terms of contemporary jewelry, people are looking for that individual viewpoint, individual creative viewpoint.
And it's a great way for...
And you know what, also, one last thing, which was a great surprise, I think, to both of us in the very first GemGenève, that actually the designers really loved meeting each other. I wasn't expecting that. I think, they're they work alone, you know, as I do. It's quite a solitary business, and I think they really benefited from meeting each other and also meeting all the other exhibitors. And that was really a delight for me, that it was a byproduct of the Designer Vivarium.
Yeah, so we're coming fast up to the end of our hour. I would like to very quickly encourage anybody to submit any last minute questions. There is a question from Nivia Zakir, who would like to know, would there be, perhaps for Ronny, would there be any chance of short courses to coincide with GemGenève in the future, for example, in gemology or jewellery design or jewellery making? Any thoughts on it evolving the course structure that will go side by side with GemGenève in future?
Well, it's certainly a good idea. I would just answer concerning courses on gemology. I doubt that the Swiss lab, the SSEF, for example, would have the time to give lessons during GemGenève, but it could be a good idea. And concerning the design, it could very well be something for the future to do. We know at a point, the first year, I think, we had the idea to bring somebody who would teach how to make your own jewelry. And then, okay, we didn't come to reality, but it could be, but not for this year, and maybe next year. In any case, it's a good idea, and we'll try to keep new things, and these could be new things for the future.
Well, thank you for that, Ronny. We've had a very good view of Vivienne's kitchen in the meantime, and then her dog,
Sorry,
which is
my dog.
very welcome.
I got my dog came home. So.
Our hour is coming to an end. I'd like to thank you very much indeed for joining us today, the panelists, and to say to everybody, it's not too late to book your plane tickets for Geneva. GemGenève will take place between the 4th and the 7th of November at the Palexpo. As I hope you will have seen from this presentation, there will be a wonderful array of assorted goods, high-end colored gemstones, diamonds, antique jewellery, and also cutting-edge contemporary jewellery design as well, plus a range of talks to attend, and it's all listed on the GemGenève website. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Ronny, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, please, David. As you just said that people could still go and book their flights, we just want to say that if people could not find a flight or could not attend to the show, we're trying experimentally to introduce a digital view of our show. That means that the visitor who could not attend would be able to connect through our website, and they would be live with the exhibitors. So if somebody wants to see what Thomas or Ida has, they can contact them, and they would be face-to-face in a private salon, for example, and they can talk about business. And if they want to attend the show, they can also do it digitally. So of course, we rather see you, all who can come. But if you cannot come, we are going to try to do this thing experimentally, and who knows, maybe it's going to be something that is going to be useful for the future.
Okay, excellent. So there you are, GemGenève, right at the cutting edge of what the so-called hybridization of trade fairs, combining an in-person event with a digital event, which is very much the way people are predicting trade fairs are going to be in the future. And it will be possible, obviously, that way to order goods virtually as well as being in person. I'd like to thank my co-panelists for joining me today and giving their time. And I do encourage you to book those flights if possible and visit GemGenève, and hope to see you there next week. Thank you all very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.